Greetings and thank you, thank you. You know, I thought about and pondered what can I say or what can I talk about that, you know, will be beneficial to everybody. So this topic in this particular episode, we're gonna talk about me, the traveling, the update, and we also gonna talk about Hurricane Katrina. So with that being said, let's go ahead on and get this podcast started rolling. Let's enjoy the conversation. Make sure you participate by liking, following, sharing the podcast so you can understand and hear and know and reverence back to what I'm saying and be able to control what you need to control. You feel what I'm saying? So, kind of do it at your own pace. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get this topic of conversation started. First thing first, where have I been? What have I been doing? I have been getting myself together mentally. I have been preparing myself to come back like never before. A lot of people have been asking and asking, but here we are today. We're going to go ahead and get this podcast rolling. I myself is Phenomenal Minnie. I am the host. I am the founder. I am the creator of this here podcast. You can also search for me on Spotify, TikTok, and also YouTube, of course, is probably where you're watching it if you're not watching on Facebook. So if you are watching this on Facebook, thank you for finally joining. I had some technical difficulties getting you guys over here for a while. So hopefully we in there like swimwear. You know what I mean? So what I've been doing, I have been traveling the world. I have taken my kids on several vacations and just enjoying life and the beauty of life within itself. I also love, cruising. If you know me personally, you know that I do love to cruise. That's my thing. I'm not knocking nobody that like to do things in resort style. That's your thing, but that ain't my thing. That ain't Mindy thing. So I've been taking my children on vacation. I promised that I wasn't going to participate in certain pagan holidays. So with that being said, I took away certain particular holiday and introduced something as family, something that can't be shattered, something you can understand and pass on to your children. I have two boys. So something they can be able to pass on to their children as, a ritual thing that they could do every year outside of the pagan holiday. So we went to the Bahamas, let me say it. We went to the Bahamas, Princess Kate to be exact. And I would try to insert different clips and different things of what we did. I have a 7-year-old and I also have a 17-year-old. There's a big age gap within that thing there. So sometimes it could be treacherous, it could be chaotic. And sometimes, with that 10-year gap, they don't understand each other or they don't want my oldest, I should say. My 17-year-old don't want to have no affiliations with his brother when he's doing certain things. And I can kind of understand it because he's a teenager and he getting ready to graduate from high school. So I decided to do this as something that, first of all, I never received within my parents or something that I never had the opportunity to travel. So I made a thing that every year on spring break, no matter what day it is in March, we take a spring break and we travel the world. We just travel the world no matter, they say to and fro, to and fro. We travel the world. We make sure we visited places that we never visited before we repeating something. As far as like we did repeat Cozumel, but nevertheless, it still was a good thing. So we travel the world, and my kids are able to see things that I wasn't able to see. My baby boy is fascinated with water. He's uh, what I like to call, he doesn't have any fear when it comes to water. So I have to have much about it attention for him so he can be able to know that look, this water can have you tangled up and tied up. So we like to travel the world, see different people, learn different cultures and how they present things and not just as an African American. So that's what I've been doing, getting myself together. I've been participating in community things. I'm not going to say too much on that. And you just keep your eye out for that. And if you have anything that you want to bring forward to me, drop the information in the comment section, or you can email me at phenomenalreflections2024 at gmail.com. I will respond to you, and people be surprised that I do respond, but I do respond. I have received several phone calls throughout the time that I've been out. So I would introduce a lot of those different things. And I also celebrated a birthday. I celebrated a birthday in May. And I went to Orange Beach, Alabama, which is also my favorite again. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I love water as well. And it's a place where you can just be free. And I went along. I didn't need no chaperone. I didn't need anyone with me. It was a time for me to soak within myself, within my solitude, and be able to get myself together, come back and perform like I need to perform. And that's for my kids, that's for my family, that's for my job, that's for the community, all of that good stuff. I was able to get myself together. So, with that being said, that's just what I had to do. It wasn't something that I wanted to do, but I knew mentally that it was something that I had to do. Growing up, we told not to say certain things, or if something is bothering you, they always tell you pray about it. But after you pray about it, then what? What do you do next? Where do I move? They give you the blueprint for if something is going on to say prayer, but after prayer, what do? You have to do something physically. And a lot of people get that mixed up with just praying and thinking something's supposed to fall out of the sky and looking at you like, okay, yeah, it's gonna fall out the sky, but it's gonna push you too. And gonna say, hey, you need to move. Slow feet don't eat, it just don't correlate. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and dive into the next topic. This topic here is very, very, very dear to me. I was wondering how should I present it? What should I say? And about Hurricane Katrina. July the 27th, National Geographic had dropped a documentary about Hurricane Katrina. Myself personally, I've seen about six or seven documentaries about Hurricane Katrina. Some people, back then was like, girl, and I don't know why I was fascinated with seeing it, not in a way like, oh, I want to travel the storm and chase storms type of thing. No, no, not that type of thing. It was just horrific for me, and I wasn't prepared then to understand what was going on. So me within myself back in 2005 when this happened, I wasn't really understanding what was going on. I was younger than the age that I am now. So I didn't quite understand. I didn't quite fathom the things that were going on. But as I began to watch those different documentaries, I began to see those different things as like, oh, I remember watching it. And even with this documentary that came out July the 27th, I was able to tie some of the things that was in those six documentary. And it was like, okay, is National trying to play me or something? Because why some of this same stuff is on the same six documentary that I already seen. But nevertheless, if you are following me on TikTok, get to TikTok and I will list those different. Matter of fact, I have already listed those different six topics, not six topics, I'm sorry, six documentaries that explaining the ones you can go one by one and watch those. And if you doesn't have a heart for humanity, I don't know if you should watch it. I really don't know at all if there's something you should pursue and take your time out and watch it because it it's something that has to be seen visually. It can't be something that can be talked about. I can talk about it all day, but if you see it visually and you will definitely understand what I'm talking about. And if you can get over to TikTok and follow some of those people is not in that documentary. So I've discovered there are more horrific stories that happened that day. And I remember one guy, and I can't quote his name. All I remember, the last thing is 504. He's on TikTok and he explained how he burst through the crowds and was making sure that only mothers and kids were getting on that bus first. So I don't want to tell his story. Once I find the information to his TikTok, I will go ahead and link that into with this podcast so you can be able to find out who he is and be able to watch some of the story. He's not just the only where there are dozens of story. But again, a lot of this have not been talked about nationally. Everything is not being covered in this documentary. Don't think you just seen one and you think you've seen enough. No, there are lots and several of things that's in those documentary that were not talked about as televised. Okay. So with that being said, I want to say to you this. as I began to go over to TikTok and Facebooks and all of those different social media outlets, I began to see a thing that was really, really bothersome to me. So I'm gonna talk about it, and you let me know in the comment section. Comment below. What do you think about the things that happened in Hurricane Katrina, during Hurricane Katrina? So anyway, so I began to look at these different videos, and what bothers me the most was the number one thing, and I think this is problematic with the same thing with people of color, not just with Hurricane Katrina itself. It was people of color that was doing this particular thing. And they were saying, hear me good. They were asking, why come these people didn't leave? Why come these people didn't get out of there at any point of time when they was notified to evacuate? That there really bothers me the most, and I'm gonna tell you why. Here's why. If you ever visit Louisiana, specifically New Orleans itself, it was something that's heavy when you come into the city, for one thing. And another thing, it's a city of poverty at that particular time. Right now is gentrification going on. But during that particular time, there were poverty going on. And there was nothing done or put in place to fix that particular thing. So you're asking thousands and thousands of people, why haven't they evacuated when they heed the warning to evacuate, and saying, quote unquote, basically, you're doing it to your own damn self. Now, if you're on a fixed income, let's take this for here. It's a poverty city now. If you on a fixed income, and I mean you're getting Social Security, or you may not even have any income at all, or you getting disability, something to that sort, and let's just give a roughly estimate. Let's say you're receiving in $600 a month. Well, hell, your rent is $300 to $400. This is also talked about in the documentary. So if it's that amount, what am I gonna leave with? I need to travel. First of all, I need to find out where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going because I don't have any resource. There was nothing put into place to say, go here when this happened, when a storm shall arise. A year prior to the levee breaking, they did some type of organizations where they all came together and they wanted to test things out. If the levee break, then what would this happen, that happened, that happened. They did all of that, but nobody acted upon that. So again, people are asking people, why haven't you evacuated? People telling their story, all up under the comment section. Why haven't they evacuated? If that's the case, hell, why you didn't send some? Why you didn't make a donation? And I'm not saying that you didn't, but I know everybody did. So you asking these people to evacuate who are already probably kind of on the edge of homelessness, and you asking them, why haven't they evacuated? Why haven't they move out when they was told? First of all, the government have a responsibility for as humanity. So, with that being said, FEMA dropped the ball. It's the list of people that I am holding accountable for this particular thing. I'm going to definitely have to say, I'm going to have to hold the governor accountable for her actions within the whole shebang of it. I'm totally her. And I can't quite think of her name. I think her last name is Brown at the time, but she's deceased now. And I'm also gonna hold accountable the man that was in charge of FEMA, not the manager guy that was in charge of FEMA that was inside of New Orleans. I'm talking about on a national level, the guy that was in charge of everything that's supposed to report it back to the governor. The governor was supposed to report to the president of the United States, which was Bush. Now, all of those different chain that was going on, nobody could get the job done. And when you see these different, documentary, you'll understand. And you will, if you see your first one, you will say, who the hell do we hold responsible for these people, for the victim of this? Who do we hold responsible? So as of today, I will hope now, 20 years later, that we're not saying Katrina happened to New Orleans, we're definitely going to say the government happened to New Orleans. So if you begin to watch the documentary, the guy that was in charge of the FEMA that was inside of New Orleans, he had a duty to do. He did all that he could do. He emailed the governor. He emailed the head guy that was in charge of FEMA. He emailed him and explained to him what was going on. He wasn't getting any feedback. Now, by this time, it's day two. Day two of people sitting there, no food, no clothing, no water. The shelter that they had was the Superdome, but it wasn't really nothing. The shelter that they had was the convention center. So, with the FEMA guy explaining the things that's going on to the government, do you not know, not the government, the governor at that particular time, do you not know when he sent that email to her and like, okay, what is the update? Because we need to get these people out of here. We definitely need to get these people out of here. I don't know if she was paying attention to the newscast that was casting from downtown of New Orleans versus the ninth ward of New Orleans. I don't know what she was thinking. But at that particular time, when all the emails stopped flooding into her, she stopped responding. She had her secretary to respond back. And so the guy from FEMA that was in New Orleans said to her, well, she must not know how serious this is. Let me send her some pictures over to her ass. Let me send some pictures to her so she can see what is going on in here because she don't have eyes. She's up there in Baton Rouge. She's not down in New Orleans. She's in Baton Rouge. So she couldn't even bring her ass down there. And another thing that bothered me within the last documentary that I did not know, the governor and the mayor at the time, Reagan, those two had a conflict going on within those selves. That thing that pissed me off to the max because when things like that is going on, when there's a tragic going on in the city, you have to put the differences aside and call each other and say, hey, I know you can even say, hey, I know you don't mess with me and I don't mess with you, but look, we got the mass of the people up under our hands. We need to figure out how we can come together, how we can do this, and how we can get those people up out of the situation. There was 30,000 people inside of the Superdome. There was 30,000 people inside of the convention center. But what was not reported was that the convention center had 30,000 people. They didn't start off that way. They gradually got to that amount of people. That's 60,000 people without any food, any water, bathrooms backed up, people doing all kinds of stuff. People don't have medication, people falling out. It's hot. There's no air circulating. And y'all keep asking them why they ain't get out. Why you didn't get in your car, drive up or drive down, and to help those different people. And even when now, some of these people are still broken mentally. Some of these people are still stuck, you know. So you asking them at a time like that, how they gonna do this? Hell, what was the resources? So y'all don't need to be asking the people. Y'all need to be asking the government. What the hell happened? Why wasn't resources put in place for those particular people to be able to sustain, to be able to know what we're going to do and not be a whole damn week to figure out what we're going to do with all these people? So as time proceeded on, the email went out to the governor, excuse me, and then she said, finally did respond, the secretary. And when she respond, y'all, oh my God, I couldn't even believe she responded in the manner she responded. The lady said that the governor, she was at Ruth Chris. Hear me out. She was at Ruth Chris eating her dinner. Now, that pissed me off times 30, 20, 50, 1,000. Because why was you at Ruth Chris eating dinner? I didn't get that. What was so hung up on? And like I said, the news station, if that's what she was going by, we can't ask her that because she's deceased. If the newscast was going on, she could only see downtown. So when she could only see downtown, there was one guy. Y'all, this is heavy. There was one guy, which was the lieutenant colonel, that was in charge of everything far as the army wise and far as getting those people up out of there. He the only one that I seen out of all the documentary I seen that was in there that was down they fucking necks. Like, come on, get this together. So he can understand. He can understand what was the situation going on with getting the buses there and getting the food for the people. And if you know anything about military food that they did receive, if you understand anything about the military food, you got to set this shit outside. I'm just being real. You it's like rubbing rocks together to get the package activated. It really is. It's like rubbing packs together to get it, activated to get it warm in some type of form. But nevertheless, y'all, that ain't all that happened. So after that happened, and the FEMA guy got the email back saying that she was inside of Ruth Chris, casualty. And I don't even know if the FEMA guy, President guy, Brown, I don't know if he was with her or not, but I think he was. He knew what was going on. You was already informed by one of your FEMA persons what was going on. So after that, collectively, everybody came together, and the lieutenant colonel guy said to the mayor, he said, "What of the list of things?" He said, "Go and make a list of things that you would need for the people." There was buses, there was food, there was water. First thing first became the food and the water dropping down from the different airplanes. Okay, I get that, but we here and we stuck. What's the plan? There was nobody there that had a plan that they can execute the plan. And how it goes is the mayor's supposed to contact the governor. After he contact the governor, he's supposed to contact FEMA. FEMA's supposed to be the FEMA guy that was inside of New Orleans contacted the president of FEMA to figure out, let's get these funds rolling. We ain't stopping here. Let's get these funds rolling. The FEMA guy and the governor supposed to be in correlation. Hear me clear. Supposed to be in correlation with Bush. But instead, a lieutenant colonel guy had to come down. And I don't even know who sent him. And I'm not saying it in a bad way. I don't know who even presented him to be in front. But I thank God. I thank God that he was in place to get the shit in order, because it was just chaotic. It was just bad. It was bad. It was bad. I can't even lie to you. It was bad. It was sad. But again, I'm really thinking it's a color thing when it came down to the people for her to have her ass sitting up there in Ruth Chris. I don't even give a I don't give ooh Lord, I almost said something. I don't even care. Mm-mm. I don't even care what she was doing, because I feel like she should have figured out what was going on, even if she was going by what was on the news. Her name was Kathleen Blanco. When she figured out that the news is saying this and this and that, yeah, the water downtown is kind of like foot action. Like, you could like put your foot in the water and you'll be safe. And again, this was flooded by the Ninth Ward. And so she should have just took her ass down there. She never came down there. So when the lieutenant guy came in, he was directed to talk to the FEMA guy, Brown. I can't remember his first name, Brown. And he talked to him. And then when he got there, he was like, "Oh, you're good. I heard about you. I want you to come up here and have a desk right beside me. I want you to sit right here so I can hear those different things and demands that you're sending out in correlation with the president." Why the fuck you need that? You don't need him to sit right there. You supposed to be talking to the president, but you wasn't. You wasn't talking to the president at all. So the guy respectfully told him, We got thousands and thousands of people. I need to be with my people. I don't need a desk sitting right here by you. What I need to sit right here by you for? For what? Respectfully, I decline. I need to go back and get my feet on the pavement to figure out how can we get these people out of there. And by then, we're heading to 1 week. We're still without a plan. How crazy is that? And I live in Memphis, and the downtown area, that's where the Mississippi River is. And I'm gonna be honest with you. There ain't no levee down there. There ain't a levee at all. So I began to think, what if that happened to me? What if that happened to my brother, my sister, my cousin, my uncle, my niece, my nephew? What if that happened to them? Then what am I gonna do? Everybody not have the resource to evacuate. There should have been some plan in place. And again, it wasn't Katrina that happened to New Orleans. It was the government that happened to New Orleans. Too many people running, getting money from all different angles. People just not utilizing the money that was already there. You know, we need to get buses. We need to get gas in those buses. We need to get it to the people. We need to get them to a shelter. The shelter was even closed. So y'all asking these people where they going? No, where you going? Stop asking them that. That's rude. That's rude. That's like when somebody that passed away and you asking them, "Ooh, what did they die of?" Don't ask nobody that. Sit patiently. If it's meant for you to know, it'll come to you. You ain't got to be all up in their business, stirring their Kool-Aid. You know, you ain't got to do all of that. But that comes from certain people raised a certain way. You know, and they don't have the mind to think outside of the box that they were put in. So they need to figure out themselves first and worry about why they wasn't down there. you know. And I'm gonna really be honest with you. I remember staying in a apartment here in Memphis in '05, and we was going through a financial situation, and we all was living in one place in a two-bedroom apartment. I remember my mom getting mad at me because I didn't receive the funds for Hurricane Katrina because they was passing out, all types of money. And at that particular time, they was transporting people from different cities. Some of them went to Texas, some went to the lower part of Mississippi that's close to New Orleans. And some of the people, like I said, came here. Some of the people went to Houston, Texas, all over the world, but just within the close vicinity of Louisiana. So the people came here, and I remember my mom getting mad because I didn't receive the money, and all you had to do was call and report this. All you had to do was call and report you have lost the wages. Don't get me wrong, our lights did go out, but it wasn't nothing to call. Me having a heart, and I don't understand. Listen to me clearly. Me having a heart, I don't understand people that always running up for some free, always running up for free. I don't care if people have money in their pocket and job. It's free, y'all running. And I'm not saying you don't need no little help every now and then, but every time something that's passed out for free, here you go running. Let somebody else that don't got nothing at all get that. And I be telling people, why you gotta be greedy? That bugs me, that irks my skin because, like, damn, get somebody else time to get something for free. If you always down there for something free, they should have some type of thing where they can say, look, you just got a utility check last week. You just got the food pantry last week as well. We just gave you gas in your car. And here you is again this week saying you need food, but you also receive AFDC. Like, come on. What you gonna do to help you? If the government got to do everything for you, but damn, who does shit belong to? Like, who does it belong to? Because you ain't putting nothing in there, you know? And I understand some of this stuff is for purpose of helping people and placing them, put them in a position to do better for themselves. But some people, they just don't want to get up off their tail and do nothing. It's free. Hey, girl, I'm in line. It's free for me, girl. I'm in line. Oh, girl, you heard about so and so they passing out. Girl, they passing out good stuff. You know, y'all know how y'all people do. Y'all know how they be running. You know, they be running like, come on now. Like, dang, let somebody else get some. So for me back then, I was like, Mom, I'm not gonna do that. And I didn't even know the whole situation then. It's just if it's free, it's not meant for me to get everything that's free. It's not. It's not. No, no, no. Because now I'm wondering, what are y'all doing to contribute to the community? What are you doing to give back? You can sit up in your chair. You can sit up on your high horse. You can sit up in your big house. You can say, hey, I got a nice house and a fine car. But what are you doing with the community? Are you helping your culture? Then you get the downplay with, oh, well, I ain't got time to help because if I do this, then this and this and this gonna happen. They ain't gonna be appreciated for nothing. You never supposed to do nothing for nobody and expect nothing in return. That's when you get blessed. A lot of people don't understand it. You're doing stuff and you thinking you want to receive something back. Where's the love for your culture? You ain't that color for nothing. Like, come on. You sitting up here saying what won't work. What's your idea of something that would work? I don't know, baby. I don't know. I don't know at all. So you talking, but you're not contributing. And then when it get personal, you get to ask somebody say, "Oh, well, you need help. Oh, shh. You sitting up there with a dude in the house. What you need help for? What you need help for, baby? You don't need no help." Now you want to say, "Oh, you judging me because I got a dude in here and he ain't helping, but I just need a little help. I'm on hard time." But you would just judge these folks here about Hurricane Katrina. These folks was poor. Not even the poor middle class, or the poor lower class. It wasn't none of it. It was strictly poor. Don't you know if they had the funds and the resource to get out, you didn't think them folks would did that. If you knowing that a hurricane coming, possibly being unalive, you already know this. So you think they ain't trying to figure out how we get up out of here? You know, like stop asking them that. Stop asking rhetorical dumbass questions. And I know some of y'all gonna be like, oh, she cussing. And is. That's never defined enough. You saying words, and that's gonna say where I'm gonna go when I leave here. Baby, my grandma used to cuss up a storm, baby, to say sanctified person, and y'all know this. So I just want to know in the comment section, how do you feel now that it's been 20 years later? How do you feel about the things that were in place, the things that happened? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the mayor? You know, the mayor later was charged with some things, kind of wasn't even dealing with Hurricane Katrina, but it was for money laundering. And that broke my heart because in the earlier years I was rooting for him. And I didn't live there, so I wasn't voting. So I was rooting for him to be, say, hey, this black guy gonna do what's need to be done. I know he gonna do what's need to be done. You know. And don't get me wrong, what he did, money laundering, allegedly, let me say that, with the different contracts that he was giving to his son as part of the city. I get that. You was trying to help family. I do get that. But some things become a conflict of interest and you already know this. So they really messed you up in the end. They really did. I know you probably didn't pan out that way. But at the same time, the mayor, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the councilmen, I'm pretty sure a couple of police officers, y'all was in the Wyatt, the hotel. Y'all was covered. Only thing happening to y'all was the windows end up, you know, busting out, doing out the Hurricane Katrina. But y'all went to the lower level. Anything three and below was covered because it didn't have windows like that. So y'all had continuous food. Y'all had water. Y'all had all that. But those people that was in that Superdome, those people at the convention center, they didn't have all that. And I'm definitely want to give praise to the paramedics, the EMT, the police, all of those different teams of people. I don't believe I could have did it. I don't believe I could have did it. Cause some of us can be ignorant. I ain't lying. Some of us can be ignorant. Y'all know we can. Y'all know we can. We can be fooling downright, but at the same time, those people were trying to survive. At that particular time, just imagine it's a week span, and within the first or second day, you don't know what's going on. You don't know what's gonna happen. A lot of people wanted to stay within those homes that had those homes on those certain blocks. They wanted to stay in their homes because the flood was down at the bottom. It wasn't even affected in them. Shit, you can open a canned good or two. You know what I'm saying? And ride that out. But those people weren't even allowed to stay. It was crazy to me later on that I did learn watching this documentary that the people wanted to get out so bad, so they started walking and they started walking toward algae. And once they got towards that way, which was probably like a mile and a half, maybe 2 miles from where they were, and imagine walking in this hot. And if you know anything about New Orleans, it ain't the same type of hot. It's the humidity. Oh my God. So imagining walking and you get to a certain point when you're trying to cross over because they didn't have blood. So imagine you walking there and you trying to get over to that particular point. You get there and there are men standing there, army men with guns in their hands and telling you you can't go this way. You can't come past. There wasn't nobody even, sneaking over. You know how you say, all right, it's just y'all five. I don't see nobody, behind y'all. Come on, go through. Uh-uh. It wasn't none of that. It wasn't none of that. I remember watching one of the documentary. I can't remember specifically. There was a guy who I'm guessing was his cousins or somebody that he knew here in Memphis. And when he came here, finally got here, got, as they say, that little change. He got that little change from the FEMA that they was offering out. And the cousins knew that. When I tell y'all, they played this man so hard. Oh my God. It was like the man couldn't even catch a break. The man got here, the cousin started wanting, where's the car? You know he can't do so much. He don't have no income. The man didn't even have an ID. So a lot of them, it was problematic for that too. All this either left behind or lost. So they began to take his money, and as he began to give the FEMA people the address and began to stay here in Memphis, I think he received like 2 or 3 more checks. I'm not really I can't remember if it was 2 or 3. Y'all just gotta watch the documentary. And he received those different checks, and the cousin took those as well. When the checks will stop coming and stop rolling, the man didn't even have a job still, but the cousin, quote unquote, said he could stay here as long as he wanted to stay here. And they ran off with the boy money, threw him out. He didn't have a place to go. That's why I say you gotta watch some of these documentaries. Specifically, let me see, Trouble in the Water. That was my favorite. Trouble in the Water. And there's a one that was done by Spike Lee. It's called When the Levees Broke. You should look for that one as well. That's also a good one. And I remember a lot of people going down, driving down, and driving down. If you know the Long Bridge, some people couldn't even get there to even bring water. So this was a national disaster. This wasn't, oh, something I saw on the news and everybody want to try to join and all that old kind of stuff. It wasn't even that type of party, like dead ass. So, with that being said, this is the end of the podcast. I thank you for tuning in with me, and make sure y'all continue to let me know in the comment section. Soon as you watch those different documentaries, let me know in the comment section what you think and how you feel about the certain things that you were able to see. You're not going to be able to see majority of the stuff I was talking about in the document. You have to get to TikTok. Make you a TikTok account. If you don't do nothing but just watch videos, you know educate yourself on what went on and what transpired. And you're going to see videos of people now that going to the levee and showing us what the levee looked like. And it's sad. And I wished I could have done more back then, but me being as young as I was, I didn't know anything. And I'm not using it as an excuse because I could have done something, I'm supposing, if I knew the magnitude of what was transpired within our people and our culture. You don't have to be kin to nobody to help anybody. You don't have to be blood related to send out a helping hand, helping arm. You don't have to be kin to nobody to be have sympathy for somebody. You don't have to be, you know? So stop thinking that that ain't got nothing to do with me. You black ain't you? You're African American. It got everything to do with you. It do. With that being said, thank you. I love you and see you on the next episode. Bye for now.